Auburn with your host, Tyler Crane.
All right, we're back at you with Always Auburn, coming at you Monday morning with a lot to discuss headed into this off week. Your Auburn Tigers are now 2-2 headed into an off week before they face the Georgia Bulldogs, who come to town off a fresh loss to the Crimson Tide last week. They'll have some time this week to kind of amend that loss, but nevertheless, they will come into Jordan-Hare on fire, ready to play. And how will our Auburn Tigers respond after two disappointing back-to-back losses on the road, where it looked like we put out just a incapable, incompetent, complete disaster of offensive performances in back-to-back weeks? So to get in today's episode, I said we were going to talk about Jackson Arnold, and we will. We will at some point this week. But just the more I think about it, and the more I go back and forth and jog my mind about really what the problems are, I don't want to just go straight at Jackson Arnold off the top. I don't think that he deserves that, to tell you the truth. I think he is what he is, and Coach Freeze and his offensive play calling haven't made it any easier, haven't given him the opportunity to improve as a young man. These are kids who are developing and young and talented, but need guidance, especially in the quarterback position, where you are looked to be the leader of the team, to take big time moments into your hands and deliver on the field. And so there's a lot of mentorship and guidance and confidence that needs to be instilled in players like that, players like Jackson, especially Jackson Arnold, who just came off from a roller coaster of emotions at Oklahoma, where he entered Oklahoma as a five-star top 10 quarterback and was benched less than halfway through the year. So he really needed it, and he's not getting it. He's getting the same type of results that he saw at Oklahoma last year. And I can't do nothing but just really point at the coaches and say, did we really set him up to be successful, or were we stubborn in our efforts and really he just hasn't responded? And I don't know. I haven't really, like I said, I haven't really looked into Jackson Arnold. That I'm glad we got some time, because we'll look at all that and diagnose that and kind of pose the question, is he the man going forward? Because I know that's on a lot of everyone's minds after these two performances. But nevertheless, I want to get back to Coach Freeze, and I even want to go a little higher and look at John Cohen. Now, before we get into all this, I don't think anybody has bad intentions with the success of the program from within the program. I do not think John Cohen hired Hugh Freeze with the intent that we want Hugh Freeze to fall on his face and make a laughing stock of himself and humiliate everything that his whole career. I don't believe that. Just like I don't believe Alan Green hired Brian Harsin to do what he did on the field. I think we go into these hires, and we try to be optimistic. We try to look at the good qualities, and I do think we kind of rush into a little bit of it without clearly understanding the needs and the problems and concerns. I think there's so much of a pressure built up around the fan base and around the national media, especially with just all the access for platforms and social media, and everybody can address their opinions, which that compounds into other people, and everybody's talking about it. It's no longer just the radio and the news and just your core of traditional media platforms. No, everybody can talk about it, and that just multiplies the effect. And so I feel like the pressure that gets built up around these athletic directors and these people who have to make these big decisions, and that makes them they need to make the decision quicker without fully understanding what the needs are. And all that's really doing, what we're doing is we're just displacing the immediate problem but only giving it time to reappear over time, if that makes any sense. So I bear the question: did Hugh Freeze, not intentionally? Remember what I said. This is all not intentional, but did Hugh Freeze trick us? Hugh Freeze told us that when he got the job at Auburn, that he was an offensive guru. That look at his past, which I mean, it speaks for itself. Yes, somewhat. I think it's fabricated a little bit because hey, Auburn is a winning program. We have won championships here, and Hugh Freeze has never won anything except a couple games against Nick Saban. Just to be bland about the whole thing, but nevertheless, he tells us he's an offensive guru, quarterback whisperer. We're going to develop him, and we're going to turn the table at Auburn. All this good stuff. Sells us a dream. Beautiful dream. You know, we're going to bring the glory back to Auburn. Glory days. Jordan Hare Stadium's going to be lit up. We're going to be rolling Toomer's Corner after we bust Alabama, bust Georgia. People are going to be scared to come to Auburn. All that. All that. He sold us all that dream, and said he needed some time to do it, though. Said, I need a couple years so I can get my guys. I know I can recruit. I need to go out here. I need to get some 5-star athletes so we can be relevant on that scene with the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States and everyone else in the national, top ranking of recruits in the country. I need to go get my guys. We don't have them here right now. Harsin and Malzahn really disappointed us and fell off in that area. And so they're not here right now. Okay, go get your guys. I also need a quarterback. I gotta get a quarterback who I can whisper to, who can hear what I'm saying and can put it on the field. But everything I'm telling him, it comes like clockwork with him. I need that guy. I gotta have him. Okay. So we go get Peyton Thorne. It doesn't work the first year. That's all right. I just need another year with him. We'll get it together. No need to go out and try to find one of these proven quarterbacks, Cam Ward. There were some other names. And no need for all that. We're gonna get it right with Thorne. It was the same story again. Okay, Thorne's gone. No, we're not gonna develop our 5-star overall quarterback and just give him the reins and try to, even though he enrolled early and we got time with him over the spring and all that to get him in the program, get him in the system, and get him running this thing. We're gonna go get a guy that used to be a 5-star, but they benched him because he couldn't run the offense at Oklahoma because he lost all his confidence, and it was clear that he wasn't going to produce on the football field. So we're going to go get him, and we're going to change the narrative around him, and then we're going to develop this 5-star who we recruited. Okay, so we just listened to all that, from the beginning when he said he needed the talent. Okay, we got the talent now, and then we got the quarterback issues. Well, you said Jackson Arnold was your quarterback. We listened to that. And now we're still in the same position. We're actually, I really think we're digressing, to tell you the truth, on just the offensive spectrum with more talent. That's crazy. We are we are digressing with more talent. I think Hugh Freeze's offenses with Peyton Thorne, his first year, looked better than what we've seen the past 2 weeks, to tell you the truth. And that was with Peyton Thorne and Javaris Johnson and I mean there's some the other receivers. I can't even think of their names off the top of my head right now, which that's crazy. But nevertheless, did he sell us a dream? Is that really what happened? Because I look around the SEC and I look at Jeff Levy at Mississippi State in his second year. Now you think Mississippi State has all the talent in the world? No, they don't. But he's getting it together fast. They should have beat Tennessee. They gave Tennessee everything they had last weekend, and they knocked off a top 10 team in Arizona State early in the season. I think that was on the road, first game of the season. Knocked them off. Arizona State's a good football team, by the way, too. And not Things are working at Mississippi State with Jeff Lebby. He completely got to Mississippi State last year and flipped the whole roster. Brought in, get out of there, bring them in. The entire football program had blew up at Mississippi State with the unfortunate death that they had there with the head coach, and then bringing in the interim coach that really didn't work out well. And Jeff Lebby assumed the reins and worked with what they got. They were good on offense last year. They weren't terrible on offense. They just couldn't stop anybody. So what he did is he found a way to get better on defense. So now they're competing. They're better than Auburn. I can tell you that much right now. Let's move on to another one, Mike Elko, who we just saw 2 days ago at Texas A&M. Second year. First year, after everything had blown up with Jimbo Fisher, he had all these good players. A lot of them left, and the system was in shambles. The program was in shambles at A&M. The Jimbo Fisher experiment did not work at A&M. It was not fruitful, and he did not own up to what he really said that he could do at A&M. He did not put the same kind of resume and performances on the field as he did when he was at FSU, because this isn't the ACC, Jimbo Fisher. But nevertheless, Mike Elko comes in. Hey, last year was his first year. He hadn't even got all his players in, doesn't talk about the talent gap, none of that. It hadn't got his defense in yet because he's a defensive guy and all that. No, he's working with what he's got, and it's a process, but we're building. And guess what? And they were on the outside looking in at the SEC championship last year. We're this close. We're really close. November, they were there. They just stumbled along the way. Auburn was a part of that stumble, that overtime game. The only bright spot of Hugh Freeze's error. His only bright spot of the 3 years he's been at Auburn. But Mike Elko, he was figuring it out. You were seeing quick improvements, just a quick change in the culture of what Jimbo Fisher had, in essence, kind of failed the Texas A&M program. You were seeing that change. The trajectory of that was changing in a very fast manner, and it's still building. Look at it today. Go on the road against Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. Find a way to win. Found a way to win at the end of the football game. Fast forward 2 weeks later off a bye week. They didn't sit around. I don't believe that one bit. They didn't celebrate that Notre Dame game. They got better on defense. Now, did we put a heck of an offensive, threat out there? No, probably not. But there's no doubt in my mind that Mike Elko, being a defensive-minded coach, didn't say, okay, 30-something points, giving up 40 points. I know one of them was on defense. Notre Dame scored on defense or something along those lines. But 30-something points given up, nah, that's not good enough. So guess what? We're fixing to work on that for the next 2 weeks, and we're going to be better on defense when Auburn comes to town. And that's what they were. I'm going to give you one more name. Now, these are two coaches that did it very fast and have only been there this is only their second years at both of these programs, Elko and Levy. But I'm going to give you another coach, and he's been there a little longer. But it's the same story. He's just got more seasons under his belt. He turned it around fast, too. Josh Heupel. First season got there. In Tennessee, you talking – Mississippi State has never really been, expectations-wise, just it's not all there. Like, they can live with 6-6, 7-5 seasons and make a bowl game. That's acceptable. And A&M, it was going downhill, but it wasn't just head first. Like, they weren't just all the way at the bottom at that point when they got rid of Jimbo Fisher. They just saw the signs and really confronted it and said, you know what, before this gets really bad, we're gonna go and let you go, Jimbo. Go about your way. Thanks, but hey, Tennessee, you're talking about bad since Fulmer. There might have been there was a spark here or there, but Butch Davis He got lucky a couple times throwing Hail Marys against Georgia that got tipped around. The other guy who used to be the defense, and his name's Jeremy something. I can't remember. Jeremy Pruitt. Like this dude coached. He was a defensive backs coach at Hoover High School 15 years ago, and you hired him as the head coach. Now, nothing against Jeremy Pruitt, and nothing against high school football, but he was on the Alabama staff to, I think he was a defensive backs coach at Georgia, maybe a defensive coordinator. So now he's the head coach of the football program at Tennessee. Like there was no okay, let's go be a head coach at UConn or South Alabama or it was coordinator, head coach, same best conference in the United States of America. That's a big jump. So Tennessee had all the problems in the world. They were at the worst position out of these three schools: Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. They brought Josh Heupel in. He had I think he had a 7-win season, 7-6. They went to a bowl game, won the bowl game his first year. First year now. Now, who wants to go to Tennessee after years of just poor performances and bad fortune? He didn't want to say, we got to get my talent in here. No, he went and had a decent season his first season. And then his second season, 11-2. I think he finished like number 6 in the country. And it's continued. Yeah, I think he had a 9-win season 2 years ago. Last year, made the playoffs. And it doesn't take all that. So what I'm getting at is, did you sell us a dream? Did we fall for it? Because when you look at these other programs, like it doesn't take. You're in the SEC, Coach Freeze. This isn't Jacksonville State. This isn't. This is not Troy. You do not lack that much talent. That was a hoax. That was a joke. Some of those players are in the NFL. Jalen Simpson, Nehemiah Pritchett, just to name one or two, like that were a part of your teams. Like now, were we stacked like we are now? No, of course not. But we were competent. We had players that were just as good as other teams' players. So that's it. Headed forward, headed forward. As far as the coaching standpoint, and I'm getting on thinking about John Cohen right here. He is in a position that you have to do what's best for the football team. And if that's making a tough decision and getting rid of Hugh Freeze or just having that tough conversation with him, hey, are you healthy, man? Like, I know you just had cancer. Like, are you mentally there? Can your body take what it requires? Because there is a big concern. I talked about it yesterday that are you really bought in? Because what I see on the field, the special teams lapses, the procedural penalties, like that's paying attention to details. And how you pay attention to details is you give it all. You're not going home and going to sleep. You're not going home at 6 o'clock from the athletic facility when football practice is over and all the players go back to the dorm rooms and they go eat dinner and hang out with their buddies and all that. You're not doing that, Coach Freeze. You're not going home to your family at that time and your wife having your dinner ready and y'all eating dinner at 7 o'clock in the evening and watching the news and talking about how your daughter's doing in school and all that. It's a part of it, man. It's what you signed up for. Now you at the athletic facility till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You calling your special teams coaches, and we're having a meeting at 8:30 this evening after practice, and we're fixing to talk about what you saw at practice today compared to the dysfunction we've seen on the field. You're calling your offensive coordinators, and you're saying, "Hey, man, this whole I call this play, it's not working. We're not aligned. It's something, there's a disconnect there. So we're going to cut that out and we're going to draw something else out. If we got to be here till midnight figuring it out, figuring out how to script a drive to get down the field on the first possession of the game. We're gonna be here all night trying to figure this out. It is what it is. If you don't want to be here, then we'll find somebody else who does. You know, that separates it. And it's you look at it and you're like, okay, well, those are minor things. A scripted drive, one drive probably because the defense will make adjustments, and special teams. Those aren't the big parts of the game, but they're the parts that matters. It's a game of inches in so many ways, so many levels of the game. Like you say, it's a game of inches, and you think about yardage and stuff like that, but it's everything. It is a game of details, and it is a game of inches, and everything that you do wrong has the ability to affect the outcome of the game. So it's the details, it's the long nights, it's the sacrifice that matters. It's the and we didn't and we laughed about it in the when AJ one of the I can't remember was it AJ McCarron, I'm not sure. We laughed about it when it got brought up throughout the off season and all that about Coach Freeze golfing, but man, is it I feel like it's true. Like we should have been running routes. Mike G on the War Report, I was watching the show this morning, said that he gets the privilege to interview a lot of players and build relationships there, and which is wonderful. And he said that one of Coach Freeze, now he didn't name the player, and I think he might though after it's all said and done with Coach Freeze. And I think I got an idea to tell you. I hope you watch this, Mike G. Maybe you'll let me voice my answer of who I think it is who told you this, because I think I'm pretty smooth and pretty sharp when it comes to Auburn football, and I think I might know who told you this. But nevertheless, he said, and this is quote, what he said was a quote from another player. He said the amount of talent on that offense for them to be that bad is insane. They run stops, goes, and double moves. That is the extent of Coach Freeze's offense for Cam Coleman. A big part of it is how much time they waste in the offseason because the head coach is lazy and not motivated. Auburn will never win with Coach Freeze as the head coach. This is what one of Coach Freeze's former players said about him. And you take that at the time. I'm sure Mike took that at the time, and he was like, well, maybe he's got some disdain for Coach Freeze. Maybe Coach Freeze didn't play him as much. Maybe he felt like Coach Freeze didn't live up to some of the things he promised him. There's all types of stuff that could go into why a young man would make a comment like this. You never know. And we don't know who the young man is. So that even, that makes the question even more mysterious about why he would say some things like that. And at the time being, so you kind of take that with a grain of salt at the time being. But now, as you start to see these this constant dysfunction and this constant lack of ability to finish games and really eliminate the mistakes, the coaching errors out of the offensive performance, you really start looking at stuff like this, like, okay, so we're golfing during the middle of the season. Does that are we on to something there? I hate to be this guy, but hey, Coach Free, like I get on TikTok, bro, buddy, and I'm scrolling yesterday, I want to say, and I see you and your daughter making videos in front of on the field before the Texas A&M game. Nothing against having hallmark moments with your family and your daughter and all that. It's cool. Like, I'm not criticizing that, but It's the details. Like, is your mind on football? I don't know. I don't know. And I'm going to finish with this today. And this video ran a little long. And hey, that's okay. I hope y'all are watching, because I got some good stuff. But I'm going to finish with this about Coach Freeze with his with the question of, is he really bought in? Is he really putting his all into this program? And Coach Freeze was given a second chance by Auburn University, which not many people get in life. And it is very disappointing when you see people who deserve second chances or need second chances not own that sense of responsibility to the people who gave you that second chance. And so if Coach Freeze is not giving it his all, and he's not pouring himself into this program like a head coach who makes $6 million should, who got a second chance to be a head coach again, to live his dream out again after he forfeited that because of some very questionable character actions, then that is sad. That is disappointing. That is almost disgusting. You are looking at somebody who makes these videos, myself, who fights every day to get a second chance. I need a second chance. I have a college degree. I'm smart. I'm capable. I can do just about anything. But I made mistakes when I was a teenager, and they haunt me still to this day. I struggle with getting employment because of this one mistake I made in my life where I never even hurt anybody. And that's neither here nor there. But I'm just letting you in a little bit and comparing it to Coach Freeze. I would give anything for a second chance. And I'm fighting for it every day. And if I'm allotted a second chance, which it's different from my professional, aspirations and Coach Freeze's, but it's the same big picture. I would take every day as an opportunity to just embrace and embody and give everything in my soul, in my heart, in my willpower to the people, to the opportunity, because everybody doesn't get these in life, Coach Freeze. Everybody is not fortunate enough for when they mess up publicly and do things that are questionable in the eyes of others. They do not get the opportunity to do it again, to try to do it better. It's a sad fact of life. So that's from a person who really understands the need of a second chance. That's why it really rubs me the wrong way that Coach Freeze has not lived up to what he told us he was going to do at Auburn. And if it's because he hasn't poured it all into it, that's really upsetting. So, just a little bit about me, you know, want y'all to feel connected. Keep watching. I got a lot of stuff, got a lot of things on my mind headed forward in the season. We're only in September, got a lot more to come. Who knows what's going to happen? One thing about it, time's going to keep going by, and we're going to play Georgia in a couple weeks, and we're going to find out some more about what's all going on. So we're going to get with you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I might talk about get it a little into maybe what a new head coach poses, who kind of can service that role maybe. if Coach Freeze is to be let go, who kind of our options are there and how those look headed throughout the rest of the season, and maybe just kind of go further into that. So, know this video ran long. I appreciate y'all watching. We'll be back at you tomorrow. As always, War Eagle.
Pink Mercedes, I make fours every year, little baby. I don't like no long nails on my lady. Is it you that can't prevail, that I'm shady? White toes and high heels, she the latest. She got plastic Cartiers, then she made it. Then the car and then my kids met the payment.